At the beginning of this legislative session, the governor announced a huge transportation plan, a 30-year, $100 billion project. We have two members of the Transportation Committee here to tell us where that stands. So where are we with this right now?
Well, it comes out of a plan that was already ongoing called Transform Connecticut. The DOT had begun to really solicit ideas for a long-term 25-year plan. 25, 30 years doesn't make a big difference. But the governor made this the year of transportation. Now we've had years of this and that with greater or lesser success. But if we're going to be successful, it really has to be a long-term commitment. And I think he's backed up his premise with creating a study group, with suggesting that we need to put a lot of money on the table. Our job is to figure out the best way to apply those funds and what the priorities ought to be in that context. And the good news is hopefully there'll be some more federal dollars on the table thanks to our congressional delegation. Maybe the Northeast will actually get some federal funding for transportation. But we have to decide which projects to do first and which bring us the greatest bang for the buck.
So both parties are in agreement. We have to do it, and probably you can agree on a great many. Something has to be done about Metro North, something has to be done about the bridges that are falling down, the highways that need fixing.
We've been talking lockbox for several years
haven't
now.
we?
Yeah.
We really
and the governor is talking lockbox.
Finally,
just
yes.
to explain, this is he's saying, let's spend this over the next 30 years. We'll spend the $100 billion, but it will be only transportation. And for that, he wants a constitutional amendment so that this money can't be touched. Is this likely to happen?
I think it's going to happen. I think we've all recognized, having worked on this for years, there is no surefire way to keep the legislature or the governor from tapping it, but a constitutional change is the best thing that we can do.
Yes.
I think it's also perhaps a little distraction from the point that the money that's in the Special Transportation Fund is a good start, but it's not sufficient to meet the needs if we're going to go forward with this very ambitious infrastructure project. I think one of the things this new study group needs to do is look at all the potential revenue sources. There's nothing really new under the sun. Tony's talked about tolls, we talked about taxes. There's a controversial area, maybe talking about public-private partnerships that has worked in some states. I think we need to have an open mind and put everything on the table because of the order of magnitude of the kind of funds we're going to need over the long haul. Laboring under the illusion that this is going to be quick.
Right.
Just designing and implementing the fixes to the bridges.
A bridge, like the walk bridge.
We're talking years and years, and I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but the situation we're in with longer travel times and delays and the like are probably something we're going to be living with at least for the next several years.
In the 10 seconds, the governor's formed a committee. Is this just to oversee this whole transportation thing? Just another committee, or is this going to make a difference?
I'm hopeful that it won't be the case because he's gotten some pretty significant people, national figures on it. I'm hoping they will be able to share with us the entire current knowledge of what one can do with transportation. But I think the crux of it, as we started today, is how you find the funding to do whatever you come up with.